Welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we are back with another lore video. Today's topic will be the true king of the Karak 8 Peaks. I am of course talking about Belegar Ironhammer. So without further ado, let's begin. Belegar Ironhammer, born as Belagar Angrund, is the current leader of the Dwarven clan Angrund. And to his followers, and many other dwarves alike, he is the one true king of the Karak 8 Peaks. He is a master of subterranean warfare and has proven tremendous capabilities as both a leader and a warrior on the battlefield. It is said that Belegar Ironhammer's skill in battle can almost rival that of the Slayer King Ungrim Ironfist himself, and that his ambition to reclaim the Karak 8 Peaks is so strong that he may summon the spirits of his ancestors to aid him and his warriors in battle. While not occupying the hold, he proclaimed himself to be the king, and has encamped his forces within the 8 Peaks in order to establish himself a foothold there. However, the Karak 8 Peaks are home to many goblins, orcs, and skaven, and thus he has been in constant siege ever since. For his adversaries are some of the most infamous beings of the whole old world. I am of course talking about the Night Goblin chieftain Skarsnik, who is the chieftain of the Crooked Moon clan, and the infamous Skaven warlord Queek Headtaker. Regardless of the odds set against him, Belagar by some grace has been able to withstand every plot against him. He has even been able to send out forces into bloody offensives in order to recapture lost treasures or recapture lower halls. Belagar's will was made of iron, and his followers would gladly follow his king, even if it meant their deaths. Now, before we get into the reclamation of the Karak 8 Peaks, we have to go a little back, specifically to when the High King, Thorim Grudgebringer, came into power. You see, when Thorgrim took rule of the Dwarven race, he reminded his race and their enemies that although the dwarves no longer had the power they once did, that they were still a powerful force in the world. And proved that they did, for one by one they recaptured ruined strongholds that had long been lost to the dwarves. And Thorgrim's most ambitious plan was to recapture the Karak 8 Peaks. You see, since the peaks fell to darkness, there have been more attempts to recapture that hold than any other, but all have ended in failure. So the High King set off to rally the clans in order to provide aid for Belegar Ironhammer, whether it be in the form of equipment, provisions, warriors, anything was welcome. For getting into the fortress would be no easy task, as the Karak 8 Peaks presented a formidable series of natural defenses and deadly choke points, and thus armies wishing to retake the peaks could be easily ambushed, poisoned, and picked apart before they could penetrate the hold's depths. However, many clans were more than willing to provide aid, such as Thorek Ironbrow, the master runesmith of Karak Azul, who had forged many new rune-covered axes and hammers for Belagar's army. The High King himself also gifted ancient weapons from his hoard to Belagar's warriors. Belagar's army went to war wielding runic weapons and protected by rune-struck armor. It was an army that has not been seen since the elder days of the Dwarven race. Thorek Ironbrow also personally led a throng of dwarves to aid Belagar physically in battle. And with both the combined might of the dwarves and their new runic weapons, they were able to breach the outer defenses and make their way into the 8 Peaks. There, the dwarves were able to take a small portion of the upper city, to which they quickly fortified in case of an attack. And they were able to do so just in time, as soon after a massive Night Goblin army came and laid siege to their fortifications. The Night Goblins easily outnumbered the dwarves 1,000 to 1, but none can best Dwarven resolve, as they held with their war engines firing upon them with massive ferocity. The greenskins that carried on pushing on, however, were met with a massive wall of steel. And no matter how many greenskins came, the dwarves held. Tens of thousands of greenskins fell, and all that could be heard from these ancient halls were the sounds of slaughter and war chants. After days of constant sieging, the Night Goblin leader Skarsnik called off the ineffective attacks. This was no retreat, however, as the primary assault was used more as a probe to see what the dwarves were up to in the Eight Peaks. And while he lost massive amounts of troops, he was more than willing to lose 10,000 more if it meant getting rid of the dwarves in the area. Now, while the greenskin hordes were a formidable threat, the Skaven were also lying in the shadows of the once mighty hold. Red Eyes would see everything across the hold and report back to Queek Headtaker. For the mighty Skaven warlord wished to take the Karak Eight Peaks for himself, as at that point Clan Moors had captured a significant portion of Karak Eight Peaks, and the Skaven had a mighty warren in the underbelly of the stronghold. And at Queek's command, the Skaven massed up and launched an offensive against both the dwarves and the greenskins. However, once again, and for many times over, the dwarves would hold and repel both Night Goblin armies and Skaven armies at the same time. Belagar would go on to consider both Skarsnik and Queek Headtaker his most arch of nemeses, with even Queek Headtaker vowing to take Belegar Ironhammer's head as a spoil of war. This constant battling would continue until the end times. While Belegar and his dwarves could hold, they could not hold for too long now. Supplies were low and forces were dwindling, and there was no way that the dwarves could hold back the seemingly endless numbers of Skaven, even though by this point the dwarves have allied the infamous ogre Glogfag Man-Eater and his infamous warband of Man-Eater ogres. The situation was still desperate, so Belagar hoped to meet Queek in open battle and surprise him with his newfound ogre allies. Initially, the plan had worked and many Skaven fell. However, Skarsnik had been lying in wait with his night goblins and appeared from freshly dug tunnels and led an attack towards the dwarves. It was at this point that Golgfag Man-Eater and his army of man-eaters showed their true loyalties and turned against the dwarves in order to aid the Night Goblin army. Belegar and his forces were being attacked from all sides and had little choice but to retreat. With only less than 200 dwarves remaining, Belegar's forces were broken and it looked like no aid was coming. And a few months later, they faced their final stand against the Skaven army. There, Belegar finally faced Queek Headtaker in battle, grievously wounding the Skaven warlord. However, that was not enough, as in the end, Queek lived up to his name, finally slaying Belegar and taking his head as his prize. Clan Angrund had fallen, and the Eight Peaks would never see Dwarven leadership again. And with that, my friends, we have come to the end of our lore video. Thank you so much for watching. Might I suggest giving the video a like, as it really does help the channel out. If you'd like to keep up to date with all my postings of Let's Plays, guides, and lore videos, may I also suggest subscribing to the channel, as it will keep you up to date with everything. And finally, if you do have a request for a specific lore video, might I suggest leaving a comment, as I do tend to take these into consideration, and I'm always happy to take a request. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Until then, adios.